We will now launch our next session on creating a better world with the power of Gen Z and entrepreneurship, celebrating 50 years, 50th anniversary of the ASEAN-Japan Relationship. Thank you once again for joining us. This session will follow a panel discussion format. We've invited 4 entrepreneurs from Generation Z who are working in Japan and the ASEAN regions, as well as on the global stage, who will share their perspectives with us. Please note that this session will also be held only in English, and Japanese translation will not be available. But with that, I'll now hand it over to the moderator of this session, Ms. Misato Nakagawa. Ms. Nakagawa, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for warmly welcoming us to the stage. So in next 45 minutes, we would like to have friendly, casual discussions about the specific topic, which is about Japan and ASEAN. So before starting the session, I would like to ask one question, which we have been asking from time to time. What's special about Japan-ASEAN this year? Just shout out, just shout out. Okay, I think everybody is speaking in the heart. So it's the 50th anniversary of Japan-ASEAN friendly relation. So that is why today we are going to have a panel discussion to celebrate our friendship. And the panelist members are the participants from both Japan and ASEAN countries for the forum called ASEAN-Japan Generation Z Business Leaders Summit. We are going to make policy proposal for the Japanese government and the society in ASEAN countries to make a better future. With that said, I'd like to start our panel session. So today, we are connecting our panel in 2 ASEAN countries, which is in the Philippines and Singapore. And then we have 2 distinguished speakers from Japan. So that is why I'm going to start this panel by kicking the discussion by asking them to briefly introduce themselves in probably 1 to 2 minutes. And I haven't decided the order, but to be fair, because they took time to come to all Japan, even though they're living in Japan, I would like to invite, first of all, Ryo to briefly introduce himself. Ryo, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, this is Ryo Iwamoto. I'm the founder and CEO of the Tea Room Inc. And also, I'm personally a tea professor in Urasenke Tea Association, which is the biggest tea organization in Japan. And my business is, we use the cultural assets of Japan to increase the values of the tea and its culture to the world. So we acquire a tea garden and tea factories in Japan, like all across Japan, and bundle them together for larger quantity to export the tea. And also at the same time, we export the tea and culture. So we built up the tea room, different places, or we export some tea wares and tea and all kinds around the culture. So, and for this ASEAN relationship, I luckily had an opportunity to visit the Jakarta and meet the entrepreneurs in there. So I'm very happy to be here as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So he touched upon the topic, but actually before the policy proposal on December, we had a kickoff meeting in Jakarta, Indonesia last month. And Ryo came, Isa came, and Sagar came as well. What we did was we deepened the friendship as well as kicking off some of the policy proposal discussion. It was very fruitful in a sense that Japanese media came, and you can actually see our video on NHK online. So please take a look as well. So because Ryo is working around the tea industry, I would like to probably ask a question to the participants. So we have a many beverage, we have a many drink, right? Who likes tea? Who likes drinking tea? Yeah. You're looking around. You like tea too? Yeah. So Japanese people, especially our maybe ages, are getting used to drink coffee, but we obviously like tea, right? So it's great that if we can make this as a policy proposal, we can embrace traditions and the modern culture as well. So with that said, let's move on to Mirei for self-introduction. Mirei, floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Mirei Chayama from Waseda University. I'm fourth grade and majoring law. And also I am a representative of a nonprofit community called Health for All. And it is a kind of community that do policy proposals about ODA. And I think the name is called Official Development, Official Development Assistance. Sorry, I always forget this word. And we do policy proposals about the strategy of ODAs, especially in the healthcare area. Yeah, and our community is consisted with law students, economic students, and medical students. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of being here today, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's amazing and eye-opening fact that you are students, but you established the organization and you are committing to some of the contribution actions here. So I believe there are some audiences, the students as well, and I think you are very active in a sense that you came here as well. So let's learn from each other. Thank you for coming. I'm very happy to see some students there. Now, let's move on to probably we can travel to Philippines. Isa, what time is it? And can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Misato. Hello, everyone. It's 1 p.m. currently also here in the Philippines. So hi again. I am Isa Ornais. I am a social entrepreneur for 12 Topaz and an impact advocate working to alleviate poverty in women and empower youth. So being born and raised in the province of Antique in the Philippines, I have been exposed to various social challenges, including the lack of inclusion and quality education, and having experienced this social dissatisfaction. I help address this social dissatisfaction by working with grassroots communities in creating long-term solution for an inclusive and sustainable future, hopefully ultimately contributing to remaking the world for the better. So hi again, I'm Isa Arnett.
Thank you, Isa. And that's a beautiful dress. What is it?
Thank you. My friend who's also a social entrepreneur made this sustainable top.
I see that's a Filipino traditional dress.
Yeah.
Thank
you,
you.
Misato.
Yeah, thank you. We were thinking we should have worn maybe kimono or yukata on the stage too. Thank you so much, Isa. Last but not least, from Singapore, Sagar, what time is it? And please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm Sagar. I live in Singapore. It's 1 p.m. as well, so very similar time zone as Philippines. So quick introduction. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Multiplier. We are a global employment platform that helps companies employ talent globally without having to set up their legal entities or worry about payroll, benefit, taxes, and so on and so forth. We are roughly a 3-year-old firm, and we have roughly 400, 500 employees globally. I used to work in Japan before, so anything that comes to Japan or proliferating the culture of Japan, and as Ryu mentioned, tea from Japan, I'm always very excited. So thank you so much for involving me for this. I'm really looking forward to this panel discussion today.
Thank you so much for mentioning the fact that you lived in Japan. So will be very important question for you, Sagar. Have you ever been to Yokohama City before?
Yes, quite a few times.
Yes, that makes us happy, isn't it? What's your impression about Yokohama?
I think it's great. I really like the place, but I really enjoyed Tokyo as well.
Thank you so much for mentioning about Tokyo as well. Now we feel like we are the part of Yokohama City because this session takes place in Yokohama. I think it's a good start off. So thank you everyone for your kind self-introduction. And now we would like to go into our first topic, which is about Japan and ASEAN relationship because it's the 50th anniversary of the friendship of these region. So the first question I'd like to ask to the panelists is why is ASEAN-Japan relationship important to all of you? Because we are living in the globe. We are the global citizen in a sense. There are so many places in the world you can have access to different kinds of culture. But this time, they are the participants to represent Japan for the coming summit taking place in Karuizawa December. So why is Japan-ASEAN relationship important to you? To be fair, let's shuffle the order. Isa, are you ready to share your insights about this?
Sure. Thank you very much. So to start off, I have a friend in Japan. who created an AI tool for like sustainability and green initiatives. And his idea of a chatbot-like tool could like greatly benefit social entrepreneurs like me, making it convenient to find suppliers and partners who share our vision. However, to truly champion sustainability and support our partnered communities, it's crucial to understand the stories and experiences on the ground. So this knowledge can help us shape AI tools to foster community development effectively. This ASEAN-Japan relationship and partnership holds the potential and to significantly boost economic development, not only with my partner communities, but also for other marginalized regions. The possibility is to like collaborate with innovative research, training programs, and advancement in technologies will play a crucial role in enhancing our proficiency and sustainability and staying at the forefront of technological progress for Japan and ASEAN. So that's for me.
Thank you very much for beautifully summarize what you have been thinking. Would anyone go speak to the next? Or otherwise I will call on the name. Ryo, you have the floor.
So, Japan-ASEAN relationship is very important because, you know, the world is having a lot of troubles and environmental change or something like other things that human exceeded their activities and, you know, damage some environment or some, you know, social habits. But in the world, there is a union called EU, you know, European Union, and also a big country, the US. But we actually have the mutual history and mutual culture in you know, Japan, ASEAN, but we are not quite a union type because still we independently, you know, do business or independently make rules for, even though we have to target the market in the US or in the Europe. So my personal hope is I don't know, we can be a union, but we can make the same rule with the mutual culture and have some business, you know, business strategy together to target the next continent or the Europe or the American market. So that's the important things for Japan ASEAN.
Thank you very much for your important remark. Just to briefly have one follow-up question. You mentioned about the challenges, right? What concerns you the most in this region? What kind of challenge do you think we have?
Challenging means the business challenges? Or
you can talk about business challenge, any challenge you think.
I mean, this is the 50th anniversary of Japan-ASEAN relationship. So this year would be the start to have a relationship. Challenge is we don't have a certain institution for making rules in Japan-ASEAN. So I hope from this time, I hope to have some NGO or NPO for rule making in Japan-ASEAN region.
Thank you very much for your follow-up. It's very important for him to mention about there are not main institution for Japan-ASEAN to making the role. ASEAN itself has its community and the platform. They are consensus-based. But if we add up Japan, what kind of future we want, I think that's something we can think about, right? So because we are talking about ASEAN, I can jump into Sagar for your insight. Sagar, please take your floor.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. I think both Rio and Isa shared very specific points. Let me share very high level because I'm very passionate about Japan in general. I think ASEAN and Japan have had relationships for generations now. We have a deep shared history. What we have to do is we have to derive our future inspiration from that history. You know, it is important that everybody knows about our history and how connected we were at once, as you mentioned as well. Actually, if you read history, you will realize that whether there were good times or there were bad times like ASEAN financial crisis and whatnot, Japan has always been there, both financially, culturally, and every which way. I think we need to, if I be very honest, have we made enough progress in 50 years? I don't think so. I think we should restart the engine again. We should use that cultural and shared heritage to now convert this into a commercial and a technological block, which I think Ru was trying to say as well. So we have a deep social bond. We have that cultural capital, as we like to call it, which we should materialize on and make sure we use that to create a deep economic integration in the society.
Thank you very much, Sagar, because you provided us very insightful insights to us. Let me ask you this question, because this conference is taking place in Japan and we are connecting to ASEAN countries. So in order for us to create a better partnership relations, what do you think is something that Japan can learn? And what is something that you can learn from us? Sagar, could you provide your opinion about this?
Yes. So, a few things actually. As I said, I've lived in Japan, and if you look at the top 10 companies on stock market in the Western countries, they are all technology companies. But if I look at Tokyo Stock Exchange today, all the top 10 companies are still the old companies which have existed for generations now, which are, automobile companies and so on and so forth. So I think it is important that Japan really takes lead in technology revolution 3.0. I think 2.0 is already gone. It's now we're at 3.0, 4.0. One of the things that I've realized that we need help from Japanese society or government. We live in Singapore. Sometimes the situation can move very fast and it is for our advantage. But sometimes in Japan or other countries, we have to meet, then again meet and keep meeting. So sometimes it takes much time to further our agenda. So, Japan has taught us about great manufacturing. Japan, I think I worked there, so I learned the work ethics, how you can be punctual and consistent in your working style and so on and so forth. But something that we can also think about Japan is speed of movement so that we can really move fast. Today's generation is not so patient. I think they really like to move very, very fast. So it's important that we cater to the needs of the generation and increase our speed of execution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to Milei. Milei, you have the floor.
Okay, I have like 2 points to share about this. First is that because what I am proposing as a policy often relates a lot to ASEAN Union. What my policy proposal is speaking about is that we have to make a strong and steady kind of healthcare system in rural areas. And I know that, the healthcare systems in ASEAN Union is kind of, getting better, but still there are a lot of people dying from infectious diseases in those areas. So, and we are, kind of doing policy proposals to make the healthcare systems over there get better. So that's why ASEAN is, important to me. And the second aspect is that I think the world is like Rio just shared with us is divided up now. Like 10 years ago, we all thought that democratic nations are gonna be the mainstream, but actually authoritarian states are kind of increasing now. And I think that what we need now is a kind of union that can gather and observe the social issues from various kind of aspects and actually make effective policies that are gathered from entrepreneurs or some kinds of global leaders in the ASEAN Union. And if we can realize this kind of union in ASEAN, I think that and it could be a chance for ASEAN Union to become a leader in the area of policy makings and in the the international community. Yeah, so that's why I think ASEAN is important for Japan and Japan is important for ASEAN.
Thank you very much for your very detailed idea. I'd like to ask about the union that you mentioned because I think it's very interesting. Do you have any benchmark or example that you are thinking about?
about the policymaking union.
Yes, exactly.
I think the benchmark is quite like this, you know, I forgot the name of our community, the Gen-Z community, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because it's kind of really new that we all gathered in, you know, Jakarta from all over the world, not all over the world, all over the, you know, ASEAN countries, and talk about what we're facing, what kind of issues we're facing, what kind of social issues we're facing, and what we're thinking to, you know, to solve those kind of issues. So I think, I don't know if it's a benchmark, but I think we have to, you know, increase this kind of opportunity for us to talk about social issues and actually make an effective kind of policies proposal.
Thank you for sharing, because it's very simulate with us. I think it's very important for us to think about it. Does anyone has any additional comments about the point having this kind of union in this region? Isa, would you like to speak up? Are you fine? Then let me yeah, sorry for that. Let me rephrase the question. Because ASEAN community already have solid community itself, 10 countries plus the one country. But adding Japan to this community has, I think, certain value in a sense. So what do you think about the way that this community can work by adding Japan? Isa, if I can hear from you.
Right. So thank you for that, Sato. What I'm seeing is like, especially from the pre-event in Jakarta, I had a great time as like we bring different food to the table, you know, the entrepreneurs present there brings different expertise, like a food in the table, and that helps make the whole like dinner a feast, you know. And that is something that I look forward for our community, the Gen Z business leaders community, and understanding how the youth and Generation Z can have the capacity to lead and create a better world for all is something I am looking forward. Yeah, I hope I answered your question correctly, Sito.
You did beautifully, and you actually kicked off our next discussion because you mentioned about generation. So we would like to focus on the generation, which is Generation Z, the young generation. As all of you know, now more than half of the world population is under 30 years old. That means every single of you who are under 30 are decision makers. It's not like you walk behind the adult, but you are the decision makers. Your voice are heard. So that's why I want to ask this question to all the panelists. What is the role of your generation in the area that you worked on, as well as how you can foster cross-generation collaboration with something that you're working on? Let's start with Mireille, if it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think that in the term of, you know, my major is healthcare policy. So in the term of healthcare, our role is advocacy. And it is to, you know, like speak up in this kind of place. And in the term of healthcare, we all experience and witness, I mean, like Gen Z experience and actual witness that no matter how a country can be so economically developed, pandemic can stop everything. You know, like healthcare just matters. We need to speak up to make the world realize that constructing a healthcare system that can prevent pandemic is a top immediate priority. And so that is why we, my community are, doing advocacy, like speaking up in this kind of place, or actually doing policy proposals to, you know, to Japanese government or ASEAN Union and so on.
I totally agree with you. Because of pandemic, we thought the healthcare system and medical fields are something that very far, but now we all share the same story, right? So healthcare is very having a potential. Yeah, so please work on hardly. Thank you very much. So let's go to Sagar for this time.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing this. Isa-san was talking about food, so I'm almost hungry for some Japanese food now, so sorry for that. You know, talking about our generation, our generation is the new generation. Our generation is borderless. They don't think in terms of I am Japanese, I am Singaporean. Everybody thinks they are a global citizen. Our generation is an optimistic generation. They do not carry the baggage of the past history that we are not very proud of. Right? When we think about Japan, we think about sushi, we think about Niseko skiing, we think about all the good things that Ryu is sitting there, we think about tea and everything, right? Similarly,
Whoops. This is a technical difficulty we are facing. Even though we are borderless, I think there is something between us. So, Sagar, if you can, oh, you can hear me now.
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Would you like to continue
Okay.
talking?
Yes.
Yes.
So, our generation, sorry for the difficulty. Our generation does not carry the baggage of the last generation. So, as I was saying, when we think about Japan today, it doesn't carry, everything that we think is very positive. We think in terms of the nice food, the skiing in Niseko, and all of that, right? So, we can really start afresh. This is the generation that can forget about the history that we are not proud of and start afresh together. So when I met Ru in Jakarta, we immediately hit it off. We immediately felt like working together for the betterment of the society. So I think this is the generation that can totally, as Masasan mentioned, we have power. If we really can get power, we can redefine how we work together.
Thank you so much. I would like to challenge you by asking this question. I agree that we are borderless. At the same time, Japan is famous for, I would say, not many young generation going abroad, and I think less than 20% of Japanese residents are holding the passport. So I think the borderless means many different kind of the thing, not necessarily going out of the country. But Sagar, would you like to share your first borderless experience to encourage those who are staying maybe not borderless to be borderless?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you for highlighting this question, Masan, because one of the mission earlier in my life that I had was many. Of course, I will come to your point, but I just want to share one example. Many Japanese companies are big in Japan, but when you go outside Japan, their presence is very little. So why is that? Because if you look at many American companies, they are big in America, but they're also very big outside America. So that is one mission that I had when I was working in Japan. So, as I shared, my first job ever out of university was in Tokyo, and it was the most exciting time. Of course, I could only speak some Japanese. I was learning the culture, but it was very exciting. It was uncomfortable. It was intimidating. But once you open yourself to the possibilities of the world, it was very enjoyable and fruitful. I can say that today I'm the CEO of a big company because the work ethics that were installed by working in Tokyo and Japan and being punctual, being consistent, being religiously hardworking and so on and so forth. So I would love, like for example, when I met Ryu, is a total new generation of Japanese people who are so outgoing, who are so excited to explore the world, who are so excited to go with me to Nomikai in Jakarta and enjoy the Jakarta life and so on and so forth. So that's the new generation of Japanese people who should come and enjoy themselves, open themselves to the world, and really gel with the society.
Thank you very much for touching upon the Jakarta. Ryo, right now is smiling. I think he's recalling all the fun experiences in Jakarta that we had when we had a kickoff meeting. So let's go to Ryo for your insights.
Okay. Thank you, Sagar, for the beautiful talks. But after he talks, I don't have any words for it. But, our generation is very optimistic, and our generation is tech driven and also like global, like the people who have global perspective. But, the world has roughly 40% of the citizens are Gen Z or Alpha or something, right?
And half of the populations are under 30 years
Under
old.
30 years old. So currently, I see a lot of I don't blame them, but there's a lot of old businessmen who have the old custom, but the world now is like 50% are under 30. So we can actually make the rules of the world. But if we in Japan only stand up and say, Gen Z is important or tech-driven world or something, it's like the influence of them is very, there's lack of influence to the Japanese government too. But if we collaborate with ASEAN country, and have some union, Japan-ASEAN relationship, we actually can appreciate and, collaborate with people in ASEAN countries to make our country open and also make our Japan-ASEAN, impactful to the world. So that is one of the topics that I want to, share. And also what is the next question? Is the
Cross-generational collaboration.
gap, right?
Right.
So before filling the gap between the generation, Gen Zs are very smart, and we always have some information from the internet. We cope with a lot of informations, which are truth or false. Whether truth or false, we cope with a lot of information on the internet. So we have to correctly understand what the not older generation, I'd say, but the people in this society have, which means the assets, If we understand correctly about the businessman's assets that Gen Z want to use, we can just speak out loud. We want to use the assets to make the world impactful. So before filling the gap between the generation, I'd say as a Gen Z generation, we have to correctly understand what the society have.
Thank you. Because you're the entrepreneurs, how is it like to be entrepreneurs in your age in Japanese society? What's the opportunity and what's the challenge around you?
So the opportunity is, younger generation can have the passion, and younger generation can have the vision and dreams that, that can include the older generation to the goal. So, and if we are younger, we don't need the achievement before having the goal, having the dreams. We just have the dream and accelerate the movement. So that is one of the opportunities for the younger generation to include the older generation to have an impact to the world. And the negative side of Japan, as a younger generation is there are a lot of excellencies, I'd say. Excellency meaning, a lot of, not a rich guy, but, a lot of special peoples in the world, and we as a younger generation, are able to, catch the information from the internet, but, the world is not made by internet still, a lot of, offline informations or network informations are hidden for younger generation. So I couldn't have the, top liner, or no, the top person that I have to negotiate. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, I feel that we, as a younger generation, have to understand correctly about who is the top person, or who has the assets, or which company has the assets to invest to the next generation.
And that can be realized by having experiences?
Yeah.
experiences. So I think that's say that we need to go explore the world. Let's take an action for that. So let's go to Isa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rio, Mireille, and Tugger for those insights about the role of generation cross-cultural collaboration. As for me, as a member of like Generation Z, our generation plays a vital role of contributing to moving the needle, aiming a systemic transformation. Especially, I am working now in the grassroots communities, so it's very important to help improve living conditions there, and of course, while keeping in mind the reduced environmental impact. Our commitment should extend beyond profit. That's why I am very happy to have the community of Gen Z business leaders that I met in Jakarta and ASEAN-Japan. Uh, if I may share briefly, I remember because from Rio's insights a while ago on how entrepreneurs have passion, vision, and dreams. I remember Ambassador Kia Masahiko highlighting this last month, the significance of vision, mission, action, and passion, or what he calls VMAP, in sustaining a business, especially for youth and business leaders. This emphasizes says how this cross-cultural collaboration between ASEAN and Japan can significantly contribute to shaping and enhancing our VMAP, especially in the Philippines. The exchange of ideas and the exchange of experiences between these regions can foster a dynamic environment in reaching our collective vision, refining our mission, guiding purposeful actions, and eventually fueling the passion needed to drive successful businesses and to tap on like other youth in Japan to be like co-owners of this challenge, and that we need to understand how all stakeholders must take part now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I actually would like to echo what you have said. You said extend beyond the profit. I think this is something like we need to really think about, because social business or the social entrepreneurs are doing something for better society. That's what, at least what they're passionate about. But sometimes it's very, very difficult to make the profit, to make it sustainable. Many people drop out in the journey. So how can we overcome this kind of situation as a young social entrepreneurs? Isa, you can start, and if the other people would like to join, you can join later. Isa.
Right. So as for me, that's so true, Misato. Thank you so much for highlighting that part, because it's really hard to be consistent in the social entrepreneurship sector, you know. But number one, what helps you keep going is the community. The community, for example, the grassroots communities, being one with them and knowing the problem, the root of the problem. So it's way beyond profit, because you want to help them improve their living conditions. Number two is how we have the community of business leaders, like what we have the Generation Z business leaders of ASEAN-Japan. This helps because with sharing our like different challenges with one another, it helps us be brave enough to that others are also experiencing that same problem, and that I can ask help from them and collaborate with them to help solve what we need to solve in the grassroots communities or in our social enterprises. And what keeps me going also is the 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 idea of building a better world for future generations, that it doesn't have to stop with my generation, the Generation Z. The idea of how the future generations can be a co-owners of the social challenges that we have right now, and that yeah, we move the needle to solve it. Yeah, that's for me.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring. Other people would like to comment about this. Sagar, would you like to comment? Sorry, I couldn't see.
Maybe, yeah, maybe like a quick comment. I think what Isa-san mentioned is absolutely correct, and but I I firmly believe that for any innovation to take place, there has to be a business case around it. That is the sad reality of our society. As you mentioned, we have many excellencies. So some excellency needs to sign on that proposal to get the funding. And all of these folks, they can support a project for 1 year, 2 year, or something like that. But really for something to come to fruition and really work out, I think we need to work hard to create a business case around it. I mean, for example, renewable energy or whatnot, it only started to propagate after the price came down and it became more commercially viable. So commercially viable proposal, and we can always use our tactics around it to create a proposal, but that commercial proposal is always important, I think, to get excellencies to sign on to it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So we are now at the end of the session almost. So just summarizing what all of us are saying, because I think it's very interesting that our generation Z is smart, optimistic, boldness, and tech-driven. I think these are the all encouraging vocabularies that we have on the floor. So with these words, I think we can move forward. And I see 5 probably students sitting in front of the Tokyo venue, Yokohama venue, sorry for that. And I believe all of you are sharing the optimistic view, but if not, let's try to talk. You can always talk with us, and we can create a better future with all together. So I'd like to have a final comments from all of you so that we can close the session. All of you have about 1 minute to close your final, have your final remark. So let's go from Leo.
So thank you for listening to our panel. And as I said, we are global citizen, and we, if we have a business only in Japan, we just have to meet, at maximum, 100 million people, right? But we have to meet, 7,000 million people. How can I say it? 7 trillion? With the global citizen, like population.
Billion.
80 billion?
Billion, 7
No,
billion.
8 billion people in the world. Because we, people said, Gen Z are rushing to live. Just people are telling me that like we're too rushing to live, or too rushing to work harder. But we have to see each other, 8 billion people in the world to have a business together, if we have a global, business. So my hope is that, but if the top leaders, depending on generations, the top leaders of ASEAN Japan can share the connection of the global, business, we can actually it's easier for us to reach out the best person in the world and have the business together for making the impact. So with this, summit, or with this, institution, I want to have the rule-making institution and also the function for, connecting with the world.
Thank you, Leo. Mireille?
Okay, thank you. My final statement, my final comment is that because we've been talking about Gen Z a lot, so I want to share my thoughts for those people in the back, and which is older than us. Is that we all hope that we all really thank you all that you've been leading the economic scenes of Japan and also the world, and that was a really we really appreciate that. But what we want you to do is that we want you to think and actually invest in a long-term aspects. I know the world is changing faster than we've thought. The resources, actually natural resources we've been using to make company profits are decreasing. And yeah, so we have to, make changes to the business model, and also to rethink a kind of ways to, use those resources or assets really sustainably. So yeah, we really want you to actually to invest in a very long-term way. Not only look at the profit we're getting in this like 1 or 2 years. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Mile. Iza and Sagar, really quick comment. Sorry for that. Iza?
All right. As for me, quick comment is the support from wider society plays a vital and crucial role in this. So the collaboration between the Japanese counterparts in ASEAN amplifies this impact, and supporting youth in various sectors, especially in policy building, becomes a collective responsibility for us all. Moreover, the importance of youth representation in conferences like this is as well as important. So youth representatives offering insights on contributing to progressive and sustainable economies for both ASEAN nations and Japan. It's an ongoing act. So yeah, that's for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Iza Sagar.
Yeah, thanks for having us here. I'll quickly summarize what my dream is. My dream is that the next big tech company, such as Tesla, Microsoft, they should come out of Japan plus ASEAN combined. We should give them a big enough market, including Japan and ASEAN, to test and create that big company. That's my dream. So let's work towards that.
Thank you. Let's dream big. With that said, we are closing our session. Thank you for listening, and see you all in December in Karuizawa if possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again to all of our speakers. Thank you once again to all of our speakers. I think this session was a great reminder of the importance of including Gen Z voices in international forum like this. Knowing that the next generation is so cognizant of these issues, the world that they're going to inherit, I think is also gives us confidence that we can look forward to another 50 years of an excellent ASEAN-Japan relationship. So once again, please join me in one more round of thanking all of our speakers for joining us today, both from abroad and Japan. So again, thank you to all our speakers.